will the virtuous Sangha out of passion for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach and guide us how to end birth and death, leave suffering and attain bliss, and quickly realize non-birth. Cung thính đại đức tạng thính, vì thứ pháp hội cấp nhất thiết chúng sanh, tịnh chuyên diệu pháp luân giao đạo Nam mô, như há liêu sanh thoát tư ly khổ đắc lạc, tốc chứng vô sanh. Homage to the Blessed, Noble, and Perfectly Enlightened One. Nam mô Sanh Tu Chi Ru Ji La Di Sa Ma Mô Tu Chi. Nam mô Nam Tha Tu Nha Ra La Di Sa Ma Mô Tu Hoa. Okay, you're in Samadhi, I can see now. The unsurpassed, profound, subtle, and wonderful Dharma, 100,000 million aeons, is difficult to encounter. Now that I'm able to see and hear, I will receive and maintain it. I vow to fathom and thus come one's true and actual principles. Wu shang sheng sheng wei miao fa bai jie wan jie nan zao yu, wo jin jie wen de shou chi, yuan jie ru lai chen shi yi. O Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Venerable Huineng, Venerable YongHua, Venerable Love-Home people, and all good new advisors, Emitofuo, 诸佛菩萨、六祖、师父、上人、各位出家人、各位善知识, Emitofuo. Chư Phật Bồ Tát, kính thưa lục tổ, thượng thiên hoa, quý thầy cô và quý vị thiện tri thức A Di Đà Phật. Welcome everyone. Today is the 2nd of May 2021. We are gathered here to continue discussing the 6th Patriarch Sutra, last chapter, his final instructions to his pupils, chapter 10. We are right now on slide 66, 1/3 of the way. So it's one more 100 slides and we'll be done with this sutra. Okay, sutra text. Listen to the Dharma and cultivate accordingly. Also, do not think of the 100 things, for that will obstruct the nature of the way.
但听依法修行，又莫百物不思，而于道性挂碍。
Excellent. Okay, we were stuck here last week on this phrase. 又莫百物无思, and that's we stuck on that, and I'm grateful for my disciples to do some research. We looked up first of all, the text from the Tripitaka. The Chinese text is correct. We couldn't understand why there's a mole. I couldn't understand why there's a mole here, which is not. There's a bu, another not here. So we couldn't understand it. So it was checked for me on my behalf, and Master YongHua says it's correct. What he's referring to is, okay, let's go to this slide. Okay, we rushed a little bit the last time because when I run out of time, I try to skimp on things. The great Patriarch says, listen to the Dharma and cultivate accordingly. This is a very important instruction. Okay, listen to the Dharma. What does it mean? Listen to the proper Dharma. Okay? Use the proper Dharma to cultivate accordingly. Okay? In order to cultivate Mahayana, you need to listen to Mahayana teachings. Okay? Why they're important? They're important because these teachings are the basis these are critical information to help you develop samadhi and wisdom. Okay? So if you want to learn and you want to become enlightened, the great Patriarch says, listen to the Dharma and then follow the Dharma in your spiritual practice. Okay. Now let's talk about the word, listen. I say, I only talked to you so far about the Dharma, and then he says precisely, listen to the Dharma. He didn't say, read the Dharma. Right? That's what scholars do. They read the Dharmas. Okay? We listen to the Dharma. Why do we listen to the Dharma? It means that someone spoke the Dharma for us. This is very important. When the Buddha was alive, he spoke the Dharma for his disciples. So they listened to the Dharma and cultivated accordingly. Now he's dead. And there's no recordings, no DVDs, no cassette tapes, no thing of his teachings. Okay? No recordings. How do you listen to the Dharma? Because someone has to speak the Dharma for you. Right? So the assumption here, if you want to cultivate Buddhism, you want to cultivate the proper Dharma, you have to listen to Dharma first. Meaning you have to choose a source of the Dharma for you to listen to. He cannot be more direct than this. Okay, and somehow these instructions get lost in our transmission of the Dharma. Okay, it seems like it's a Chinese secret only, where this great Chinese Patriarch says, "This is how I train you, next generations, 7th generation of Chinese Mahayana practitioners in China." Okay, you have to listen to the Dharma to cultivate and cultivate accordingly. So you use the Dharma as a guideline for your practice. And you listen to that Dharma. So so the implication here is this is in China. This is back in China now. You have to understand during those times, this is when the 6th Patriarch spoke this Dharma. There was around 7th century, 8th century, okay, and there weren't a lot of teachers, weren't a lot of Dharma available, okay. So the assumption here is that he says, after I die, you, my followers, my disciples, need to listen to the Dharma to cultivate accordingly, because I won't be around anymore. Is it clear? Okay? to including these great eminent disciples of his, he also tells them, listen to the Dharma and to cultivate accordingly. Because he knew that his disciples are not as good as he was. He knew that already. Because if his disciples were really Buddhas and so forth, real Buddhas already, they don't need to cultivate anymore. Okay? So he says, you, who I'm about to send out throughout China to teach Chan, to teach Buddhism, you still need to cultivate. And in order to cultivate, you need to listen to the Dharma. Now, mind you that the seventh generation, the seven patriarchs, we all know that there are four of them, okay? All they were there, they were present there when he gave his final instructions to them. He said, you go out and teach. I allow you to teach. I order you to go out, one direction of your choice and teach. Okay? And meanwhile you're teaching, you still need to listen to the Dharma and to cultivate. Okay? These instructions are for his eminent disciples, the seventh patriarchs, all four of them, as well as us in the Dharma ending age. We need to listen to the Dharma as well, okay, in order to cultivate. Okay? Nowadays, we have the advantages of having recordings and DVDs and all sorts of things. How do we listen to the Dharma? Same way that his disciples had to listen to the Dharma back then. How? This is very subtle instruction. Unless you pay attention, we glossed over it last week because we ran out of time. But the instructions are so precise. You have to listen to the Dharma and cultivate. You, seven patriarchs. You, students of Mahayana. Even now, you have to listen to the Dharma and cultivate. So how do you listen to the Dharma? Okay? Let's go back to his disciples, the seven patriarchs. How can I listen to the Dharma? The sixth patriarch is dead already. How does he listen to the Dharma? Teddy bear. No? Yes, subtle. I see how subtle the teaching is. And you think you understand the teaching. Huh? Everyone reads this and says, I got it. Of course, I need to listen to the Dharma. That's what the patriarch says. Go on. How you listen? For us nowadays, we have recordings. Back then, how did they listen? How did they listen? Have you thought about that? This man is extremely wise. He says, look at me. You, listen to the Dharma. And if you were there, they say, how? Excuse me, how? How do I listen to the Dharma, right? They're all saying that immediately. Unlike you. And unlike a lot of monks and nuns, they say, oh, good, listen to the Dharma, because you weren't there. Yes, Purple.
Master, I'm thinking, hello, can you hear me? I don't have my hearing aids.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I'm thinking about when we really listened to reading, to people reading to us, typically was when we were very young and just learning. And the stories were rapturous to us when mom or teacher or somebody was reading a story. It captured your imagination, and I think it is a stronger way of remembering.
Mm-hmm. I'm like you.
And so what we're confronted with today is there's just too much messaging and too much communication today. So back then, a lot of people didn't read.
Yeah.
They had to listen to someone more knowledgeable than they were to listen.
Absolutely.
And
Very
they
good.
probably could really key on
Very
what
good.
was being said.
Excellent. Excellent. Very good. So it's just like you. There's so many things I can watch and listen to nowadays. So I watch Dirty Harry and I watch James Bond. That's where the wisdom is. Good point. Anyone else? See? Isn't it interesting? This simple, casual phrase. Listen to the Dharma and cultivate accordingly. You, patriarchs, listen to the Dharma. And never mind about right now. Listen to the Dharma right now. You, listen to the Dharma after I am dead. And these people, how? You see? If you were there in your seventh patriarch, I assure they all say, how? How do I listen to the Dharma? No recordings. Huh? You listen to the other teachers. Each one of them has a specialty. That's why the seventh patriarch. You specialize in this area of Mahayana, that's a Pure Land. You specialize in Chan, you specialize in Vinaya, you specialize in teachings and so forth. That's why he needed 4 patriarchs to carry on the Dharma transmission. They don't know everything, so he says, you listen to the Dharma, meaning that you listen and seek teachings from your peers or anyone you deem to have wisdom that you can learn from. Just because you're a patriarch. This is a subtle message. Just because you say the seventh patriarch does not mean that you stop seeking knowledge. I don't think my master taught that to his disciples. Because when I was there, we believe we're the best. No need to go anywhere else. See that? It's contrary to this great teacher. You, seventh patriarch, listen to the Dharma. Listen to the other teachers. Furthermore, the other patriarch may be patriarchs, but you know what? There are other masters who are not patriarchs, but they maybe have more wisdom than you. So the implication of the sixth patriarch is that you have to listen to a good, knowing advisor's preaching of the Dharma. Whether it's a patriarch or not, you still have to listen. Isn't that powerful? That's why I call complete instructions. It's not called final instructions for nothing. He says, these are very important instructions I need you to follow for your sake. You get that? Just because he's a patriarch, he still needs to go listen to the Dharma. This is Mahayana, folks. Questions, comments? It's such a powerful statement. And the difference between them and spies like them, is that these enlightened beings can listen to Dharma and recognize it's a proper Dharma. We can't. For us, it's all the same. For me, James Bond or Dirty Harry, it's very similar. That's about all I know. Whereas this patriarch said, that's a proper Dharma. That's why he's a patriarch. He's a patriarch because he's a master. Sixth patriarch says, you are a patriarch because I certify that you recognize the proper Dharma. And just because I certify you being able to recognize the proper Dharma, that also means that you should listen to the Dharma, not stop listening to the Dharma. Implication number 2. It makes sense. It's such an important instruction because nowadays, for example, after Master YongHua died, they have recordings. So now they can listen to his recording. That's what we did. Every day, we listened to Master YongHua's teaching at his temples for an hour and a half every single day, single night. After evening ceremony, we would sit there and listen to his tape lecture for an hour and a half every single night, except including weekends. And particularly now that they close the doors, no one can come there. It's perfect. No one bothers them. It's perfect environment to listen to the Dharma. So they listen to the Dharma. But they only listen to one Dharma, not the other Dharmas. And that's why we all have to pay attention to the 6 patriarch instructions. Listen even after you are enlightened. Even you have some real wisdom, you still need to listen to the Dharma. Until you become a Buddha, you still need to listen to the Dharma. I'm sorry, I had to add this. Until you become a Buddha, you still need to listen to the Dharma. Not just my Dharma. You 7th patriarchs are enlightened. So you hear the Dharma, you know immediately, this is a proper Dharma. And I can learn from this. We can't. We don't have that wisdom, unfortunately. So far, so good? So in the Dharma ending age, we don't know what Dharma to listen to. And that's why we have spies. They send spies all over, to check people out, listen to Dharma, and see whether it's a proper Dharma. Unfortunately, the spies don't come back. The spies are also deserters, traitors. They don't bother coming back. It's just the same in the 6th patriarch. Venerable Shenghui sent his number 1 disciples, something Chang. Anyone remember his name? Master something Chang. And he sent him over and said, you go there, he's enlightened person, I know he's enlightened. Sheng Xiu, I'm sorry, not Sheng Hui. Sheng Xiu, Venerable Sheng Xiu, knew that he was not enlightened. And he knew that. Well, how did he know that Sheng Xiu? How did Sheng Xiu know that he wasn't enlightened? Because the 6th patriarch said so. You're not enlightened. Your verses clearly demonstrate that you're not enlightened. Whereas the verse that doesn't have the author there, it turns out to be the guy who thrashes the rice, is a proper Dharma. It's not enlightened either. But the 6th patriarch, when he saw the 2 verses on the wall, he says, this is junk. Throw it out. So Sheng Xiu was certified not to be enlightened already. So he knew that. And And so he knew that the fifth patriarch certified the sixth patriarch. So he knew that Venerable Huineng was enlightened. So he sent his best disciples to go over there and learn and spy on this famous enlightened monk. Okay? And so that his number one disciples went there, and he switched camp and became a disciple of the sixth patriarch. Huh? So that's what happened to spies. Cannot depend on spies, ever. Okay, yeah, so I'm trying to remind you that we need to listen to the Dharma. So we need to be constantly be looking for Dharma to listen to. Okay, and Dharma ending age, just like back then. Okay, but unlike them, is that we cannot recognize which Dharma is proper. So my advice to you is listen to the Patriarch's Dharma. All right? Okay. And finally, the final point is not just listen. Listen here, okay, is symbolic of how the Dharma is transmitted in our Saha world by sound. Okay? The best way to teach Dharma is by sound. Okay? That's why the sudden teaching is best conveyed by sound. Okay? So Shakyamuni Buddha did the sudden teaching at his time by sound, and they lost the sound. The sixth patriarch conveyed his teaching by sound as well, and we lost the sound as well. All we have from his teaching is some transcribed instructions. Okay, that's also considered listening to the Dharma when we read them, because they are transcription of the sound. Is that clear? Okay, so listen here refers to any forms of things that will help you be exposed and learn about the proper Dharma. Questions, comments? Okay? So you have, in the Dharma ending age, we have to be careful and listen to the proper Dharma, meaning just for the sake of your own safety, okay, and so that you don't go wrong, cannot go wrong, listen to the Patriarch's Dharma. All right? That advice is very important. That instruction is very important, especially for us in Dharma ending age. Listen to the Patriarch's Dharma. That's why they are patriarchs. Okay? And if anyone who is a patriarch who does not want you to know he's a patriarch, you don't need to listen to his Dharma, in other words. All right? In our Dharma ending age, we depend on the certified patriarchs to make sure that we learn the proper Dharma. Again, I'm no patriarch. What I have for you is I repeat the words of the patriarchs, like Master YongHua, Master Qingliang. I stick to that, that's all. Okay? And whenever I deviate from that, don't listen to me until you become enlightened. Okay? Questions? Comments? Cultivate accordingly. Okay? Even patriarchs, final comment about this line here, this instruction here. Even patriarchs, okay? Sometimes they make mistake. I caught my master making a few mistakes. That's normal. We make mistakes. We know Buddhas, okay? So it's not intentional. Sometimes it's a short circuit. Sometimes we didn't sleep too much. Sometimes too tired, okay, from all the work and so forth. Sometimes it's old age. Sometimes Alzheimer's. Sometimes stupidity, ignorance, okay, all those reasons. But the point here is that ultimately the patriarch's teachings have to be consistent with the Buddha's teaching. Okay? Patriarch's wisdom is not the same as the Buddha's. Okay? So for example, the sixth patriarch, I believe he's a Buddha. I really do. Okay? But he only left teachings, a limited amount of teachings, and they collected into a few sutras. Vasha Sutra, Sixth Patriarch Sutra, and that's about it. That's about all I know. Maybe Xinjing, the Heart Sutra as well. Very limited. Even in these sutras, his teaching is very specialized, very narrowly focused to a specific group of people. Okay? So my point is that even though the sixth patriarch is get on your knees, no manners. Look Asian, but act like Westerner. So the sixth patriarch, even though I believe he's a Buddha, his teaching is not as complete as Shakyamuni Buddha's teachings. What am I getting at? Ultimately, okay, the Tripitaka reference is the most important reference. Because the Tripitaka, okay, supersedes all the patriarch's teachings. Okay, and that's why last weekend, when I realized I couldn't understand this next sentence, this next phrase here, Mo, Bai Wu, Wu Su, I couldn't understand that. So I said, first thing you do is go back and check the C beta, the Tripitaka, what is the original Chinese text. And from the Chinese text, that is the most accurate teaching from the Buddha's mouth. You start from there, okay, as a reference. So my final point is that you go by degrees. We cannot tell ourselves. So first thing that I think we should be doing in our era is look for patriarch's teachings. Okay? And once you exhaust the patriarch's teachings, like the seventh patriarchs back then, they would be exhausting each other's expertise eventually. Okay? And when that's done, then they move on to the next guy who is not available, then you go to the Tripitaka. Is that clear? So same thing for us. We first look for patriarchs, and if patriarchs are not giving us the complete picture, it's not. How do you know they're not giving us a complete picture? Because they cannot fix your problems. Okay? And then you move on to the text, the Tripitaka itself. So listen to the Tripitaka and cultivate accordingly is the ultimate standard. All patriarchs' teachings fall under the umbrella of the Tripitaka teaching and cannot contradict it. Similarly, okay, when we teach Chan meditation, Chan here, okay, when the sixth patriarch teach sudden enlightenment here, it still falls within the Avatamsaka Sutra. Cannot go outside of it. Impossible. So that's why I told you that our Chan also is inside the Avatamsaka Sutra. Our Chan should reflect the Avatamsaka Sutra. Questions, comments? He's sleeping in Korea. Might be very early. Okay. Next sentence. Do not think of the 100 things, for that will obstruct the nature of the way. Okay. Let's see. Do not think the 100 things. Okay. What is it referring to? Okay. It refer to not think of the 100 things. 100 things refer to life, whatever happens in life. Okay? Yeah. Don't think of the 100 things. Okay? What is it referring to? Can anyone not think of 100 things? Can anyone not think of COVID-19? So we can't think about the 100 things, not think of the 100 things. Yes, purple.
Thank you, Master. The 100 things would be like the stock market, the weather, things that are outside of the realm of focusing on cultivation and becoming enlightened.
That also includes cultivation, also includes enlightenment. 100 things here refers to anything, everything. That's a Chinese way of saying anything or everything. 100 things. You know, it says, what are you doing? Oh, thinking 100 things. That's usually how they answer you in China. Okay? Here we say, oh, nothing. That's 100 things. Nothing here is also 100 things. You got that? Okay? Yeah. Because at our level, when we think of nothing, it actually is a thing called nothing. You don't find it funny. Everyone's falling asleep. Never mind. Okay. Why do I feel so lonely and unappreciated? It's an uphill battle. Yes, purple.
Thank you, Master. So, stupid Westerner question. When we're not supposed to think about the 100 things, is it instruction to say, don't think? Or is there something to focus your mind on?
Very good. Okay. When you normally live, you think of 100 things. That's what we do. We get up in the morning, open our eyes, what do we think of? Coffee. No? Breakfast. For me, going to the bathroom. I know you guys get up and say, oh, what I'm going to have for breakfast today, and plan your day accordingly. No, for me, the first thing I get up is, woo! Out of my way. That's why I get up in the first place. It's funny, when I was a lay person, okay, in the morning, in San Jose, I used to live in San Jose, in Los Gatos, and it's a small town, San Jose. Used to be very desirable. In the morning, in San Jose, it's very cold, okay, and I don't like cold. I didn't like the cold. So in order for me to force myself to get up, what did I do? This is why what I'm telling you is a real personal experience, not the movies. So in order for me to force myself to get up, because I had to go to work. So what I did is, I was sleeping, happily under a, what do you call that? That down comforter, right? So it's very warm and soft. What I did is I stuck out 2 toes where it's cold. So pretty soon, it wakes you up, and then that's when I had to run, and that's what I did. So the first thing I thought of is stick my toes out and then run. Never mind. Okay, so the 100 things here refers to how our mind wanders from one thing to the next, to the third, to the fourth, until the 100th thing. Okay, and you go from 1 to 100, you lose track. In fact, our mind has so many thoughts. Okay, in a kasana, very short time span. Okay, we have hundreds, we have thousands of thoughts, minute thoughts that we're not even aware of. And you think you know everything. You don't even know your own thoughts. And you insist on knowing about everything else. You want to know about engineering, you know about medicine, you want to know about philosophy, but you don't know about your own thoughts. Isn't that fascinating? Human nature. Okay, so to think of 100 things is just wonder, keep on thinking and thinking and thinking, one thing and the next and the next and the next and the next. Okay, so when you practice Chan meditation, you acquire the skills, you develop the skills to not think of 100 things. That's the goal. That's when you become enlightened. Okay? Small enlightenment Mahayana. You become a 4th-stage Arhat or a practical Buddha. That's called small enlightenment for us. When you reach that state, that's when you don't think of 100 things anymore at will. Meaning that, it doesn't mean that, let me clarify this for you, it bothered me a great deal because I wanted to ask, what do you mean when I stop my mind? What does it mean? When your mind stops, what does it mean? Are you dead? You're dead, right? Clearly, your mind it stops and it's got to be dead. No? All I wanted to know is what happens when I can stop, my mind stops thinking. My thinking mind stops. Am I dead or what? Okay? No, you're not. Okay? When you reach small enlightenment in Mahayana, an arhatship or practical Buddhahood, you are able to at will stop your thoughts. Okay? Before that, you cannot. Once you think of something, another thought will be born from that. And so on, until it gets to be 100, to 1,000, to 10,000, and so forth. Non-stop. We cannot help it. Okay? Whereas when you practice Chan meditation, you practice until you reach 4th stage Rahat. 3rd stage Rahat, they cannot do that yet. They cannot stop their thoughts. Not possible for them to stop their thoughts. Okay? But you may reach 4th stage Rahat, you can stop your thoughts. You say, a thought arises, I feel like a beer. It's hot here under the lights. Yeah? Feel like a beer. And then maybe the Michelob. Hey, Bush Heiser. Huh? And then someone says, for me, it's Heineken. Huh? Oh. So you see, one thought gives rise to another thought. Whereas the 4th stage Rahat, he's just like us. He said, it's so hot here. It's so hot. I would like to have a beer. And the Arhat says, but wait a minute, I'm an Arhat. I cannot drink beer. So, stop. That's it. The thought will arise because of why? Why do Arhats have thoughts arise in their mind? Do you know? Why? This is not described, it's not explained by the Chinese. It really bothered the heck out of me. Everyone says, oh, Arhat is wonderful, Mahayana is so wonderful, enlightenment is so wonderful. I said, just tell me, do Arhats die? Are they dead or something? Because they don't think anymore. And that's why the scholars can say, you don't know anything. I read everything about Mahayana. But they cannot answer you the simple question. If you stop thinking, your mind stops thinking, aren't you dead? It is not like that. You see, that's why the Chinese Buddhism and Asian Buddhism left so much ambiguity in their teachings. Okay, up to you and us to clarify it, so that to reduce the confusion, to reduce the misinterpretations, to minimize it. Okay, so are they dead? No. Okay? They're not dead. Thoughts still arise in their mind. Why? Why? Anyone? Yes, Green.
Is it their retribution?
It's their retribution. This body of ours is a vehicle for our retributions to manifest. We came here and took on this body in order to undergo our retributions through this body. So we feel the cold, we feel the heat, we feel hunger, we feel happy, we feel satisfied, we feel depressed. All those things are our retributions. Okay? So even the Buddha, when he had a Buddha, he has a Buddha body called Shakyamuni Buddha, he has to undergo his retributions too. All right? But he's slightly different. Let's stick to the non-Buddhists, because I don't know the Buddhists. I don't want to oversell here. But the arhats or the practical Buddha, they have this thought arise because they're through the body. The body heats up. It's, oh, it's so hot. It's a natural thing. It's so hot. Okay? And so that thought arises, and the arhat says, okay, and stops. It dies. There's some ice cream. It dies. But for Mary Jo, when you tell her there's some ice cream, she says, no, gelato. You see, so we have our retribution. Okay, so what happened is that we have no control. We have this body. The first thought arises as our natural retribution, and because we cannot stop our mind, we grab onto those thoughts. That's why our confusion gets worse. It worsens. The older you get, the more confused you are. Yes, sir. It gets worse with age. It doesn't get better with age at all. All right? Are we clear on this? Think of 100 things is, to think of 100 things is what ordinary people do. To not think of 100 things is what enlightened sages do. The arhats or the practical Buddha or the bodhisattvas do. They still think. They still have these thoughts arise themselves. I know it's disappointing, isn't it? When I learn about Buddhism, I said, when I become an arhat, it'll be so cool. I'd be so superior. No more problems, no more heartaches. Not. I'm sorry, you're so disappointed. Yes, purple.
Do not think and think of are two separate and opposites. Isn't there a third, which is the middle way, which is emptiness?
Yes. Very good point. So this thought arises, feel like ice cream. Okay? Meaning that you probably owe Mr. Haagen-Dazs some money in the past. Okay? Yeah. Let's have some Haagen-Dazs. Let's have some Heineken. We owe them money. That's why we have to pay. We have to buy their stuff. Okay? So you have this arises. This thought arises. Okay? And the ordinary people are victims of that. They are harassed by those thoughts. Is it clear? There's a difference between enlightened people and unenlightened people is that unenlightened people cannot control themselves. As soon as a thought arises, they react to them. They become victims of their own karmic retributions. So far, so good? Okay? What's the difference between an arhat and a practical Buddha, which you will get to those stages? I'm telling you in advance how it's going to happen and what's going to be like when you get there. Okay? If you are enlightened, have reached small enlightenment, you're an arhat, practical Buddha, okay? You have this thought arises, let's have some pizza. Why am I thinking food so often? Must be some kind of retribution. Huh? You had a full lunch. So many problems. I'm depressed. And that's another thought. Okay. So you have the thought arises, okay? And the thought, in example, let's have some pizza, okay? And a normal person would say, pizza, cheese, tomato sauce, salamis, Parmesan cheese. Never mind. You see, so you have these thoughts. These thoughts that continue. An arhat, a practical Buddha, is different from us. The thought arises in the mind. I feel like pizza. Okay? The arhat says, but pizza, he doesn't think. When the notion of pizza arises in his mind, immediately his wisdom takes over and says, but pizza is empty. Pizza is not real. Okay? Cool, look at that. What a beauty. Beautiful finger work. Impressive. See? Yeah. Rubik's Cube is not empty for me. See? Rubik's Cube, one thought and arises. Yeah. So the arhats, the sages, the small sages, small enlightened people, they say, but pizza is empty. Ice cream is empty. Money is empty. Love is empty. That's why I said, big deal. They don't pursue those thoughts. So the retribution still occur because they are harassed by these thoughts. Okay, they will arise as a result of their own karmic retributions, but they don't fall for them because they see that all those things are empty. They see that 100 things are all empty. Furthermore, they see themselves as empty. So far, so good? It has to work both ways. You have to see outside is empty, and inside they're empty as well. That's why they don't bite at all. Whatever thought arises from the karmic retributions, they don't move. That's why they are thus unmoving. They don't move. You come insult them, nothing. You come and praise them, how much money is that again? Oh, that's different, okay. They are not impressed. So far, so good? And that's what is meant by not think 100 things. So far, so good? What about not think 100 things? It's stuttering. No? Not think of 100 things. You guys are serious. Jeez. I used to have a disciple, my ex-disciple stutters when he's nervous. The wife yells at him, I love you. Yes.
Thank you, Master. I have a comment and a follow-up question. I'm a problem-solution kind of guy, so yes. If my mind thinks about pizza, my solution is that Domino's has this really good deal for $7.99 for a 3-topping large. I can go get it. It's on my own clock, you know. Like I can solve that thought.
And make a lot of money from Domino's.
But my follow-up question is, you know, when I've crossed my legs, I maybe at some point during that process when I was deepest in samadhi, I had less than 100 thoughts on my mind. Probably many that I wasn't aware of, but I think the closest I can say I've come is, man, this really hurts, try not to stop, as the thought that I'm aware of. But I have to admit, I'm probably also thinking about, well, if I can keep a little bit longer, that'd be better. And then how much longer is that? And then I'll come up with a solution of like 30 seconds, 1 minute. And that's kind of how my mind goes. So is it better to think of 10 things? If you're only thinking of 10 things, are you closer to the way?
Help. How do you answer such questions? You too, answer him.
It wasn't an answer, it was another question.
Forget it. We don't need more complications. Okay. We look for answers first. No more questions. Anyone? You don't answer, I don't proceed to the next question. It's very good. Excellent. Okay. This guy has been practicing. That's very good. I'm glad to hear that. Okay. You agree with what he's saying? The rest of you agree what he's saying? Those you who meditate, those you who don't, I'm not asking you. Those of you who meditate, you agree with him or not? Those of you who've been doing chanting with us, you agree with his description or not? That's correct. That's exactly what happens when you practice chant. Very good. He only verbalizes what you are all going through. So supposedly, should be the same whether it's in San Jose or in Korea. It's the same exact thing. This is what your mind growth go through these phases. Everyone has to go through that. Okay? Let me further, let me simplify it for you. Okay? That's exactly what's happened. And then eventually, when you go through this training here, eventually you reach a stage where you're able to say, pizza, that sounds good, but that's not do anything. You can stop yourself. Say, pizza, pretty good, but that's not move. You understand me? Before you can get the stage where pizza, boom, stop. No, you have to go to a stage where pizza, sounds interesting. That's thought number 2. Yes? Number 3, does not do anything. Stop. Are you there? Very good. Are you there? That boat person. Can? She's there. She's there. She doesn't know anything. That's why. He said, pizza? I don't know anything. Boom, done. That's one way to stop. The more you know, the harder it is to stop. For her, it's very simple. I don't know. Boom. That's 2. For us, it's 3. Pizza? Delicious. Let's stop. That's called self-control. It's real. Until you can do that, never mind about you saying, I can stop my thoughts. You can't even stop. You have to learn how to walk before you can run. Before you can stop all your thoughts, because you recognize they're empty, you have to be able to cut it off at some point. The sooner the better. Is that clear? That's what you all will go through. That's why That's why people can, whether you teach Chan meditation or you're a student of Chan meditation, you say, oh, I can do this, I can do that. I look at you and say, no, at your level, you cannot do that yet. Chan is very precise. You cannot fake it. That's why, Master Xinhua used to say, he used to criticize the other Chan teachers. He says, talk 口头禅. Huh? 口 is mouth, 头 is where? Chan. You practice Chan with your mouth. What does it mean? You don't practice with your legs, you practice your mouth. I practice Chan, and Chan is wonderful. I can learn how to stop my thoughts, and I don't need to cross my legs. It's not necessary. You think about it, it's illogical. Why you need to put yourself through a lot of pain and suffering? Must be a better way. And all the people have done it before. They don't need to do Chan. See? That's Chan with your mouth. Let's give it a word. Give it a name. Talkie Chan. Agree? I've been looking for a word. 口头禅 is what my master used to say. He loved to say that. Oh, that sounds like 口头禅. And that's Talkie Chan. Talkie. Talk. Why? Talkie Chan. That's how the people do. They practice meditation with their mouth. When their mouth keep on running, meaning they keep on thinking and thinking and thinking. That's a Chinese insult, by the way. 口头禅. It's a Chinese Chan way of insulting you. All you do is keep on thinking about it. You're an idiot. The insiders. Yes, you too.
Zentian asks, Master, a
Sentient.
four-stage Zentian's the guy's name. He asks, Master, a four-stage arhat can stop thought at will, but can they stop that thought from coming back ever?
Yes, they can. Once they paid off the karmic retributions, and then they don't come back anymore. It's just like you owe the bank money. You have to keep on paying and paying until you pay it off. All right, so you don't think of the 100 things, meaning you can stop your thoughts, right? Even at her level, she can say, oh, Phở, I like to have some Thai Nam Go, okay? And then, no, it's the wrong time, she stops, okay? She can do that. However, it's still thoughts right there. That still adds confusion to you, okay? So these arhats, these sound hearers, they have the wisdom. They're able to see through things, as Master Xinhua puts it, as the Chinese put it. What's the Chinese word for that? Kan tou, kan che, something like that. Okay. Fang xia. Okay. So they are, fang xia is they says when people bring up the concept of money, for example, they can drop it. Fang xia is to drop it immediately, because they see that money is empty. You see that? That's wisdom right there. He says, money, give me $1 million. The people wisdom, like Arhat says, but money is empty. Boom, done. Okay? So that's the wisdom of the Arhats and Pratyeka Buddhas. Okay? Because of that, they are so fast. they are totally detached from society. Okay? You come to them. You say, my father has cancer. What do they say? Cancer's empty. Big deal. What's the big deal? So he has cancer. What's the big deal? His body is empty. So if he has his body, which is empty, which has cancer, which is empty on empty, what's the big deal? They're totally unmoved. They say, no, it's no big deal. And that's called wisdom, believe it or not. So imagine yourself a fourth-stage arhat, okay? And some of you are lay people, fourth-stage arhats. You're a fourth-stage arhat, and you go home, and your husband says, I'd like to buy a Tesla for all cars. All cars in the world, he wants to buy a Tesla, okay? And you remember, you're the wife who is a fourth-stage arhat. She says, but cars are empty. Big deal. No, that's not buying a Tesla. But the husband says, but I want it. I really want a Tesla. She says, but you're empty too. So your want doesn't matter. She walks away. How would you like to be married to such a person? Do you want to marry those women? Man, just a minute. Seriously, would you marry such a person? Huh? Would you marry such a person? So what good are they? Seriously, why would you marry a person like that? You see my point? What's the point in you practicing meditation, in working so hard, and then eventually become a woman that no one wants? I wouldn't call it wisdom. Do you? That wisdom is very limited. It's only for yourself. It's useless. You see that? Agree or disagree? Very good. You guys passed the test. They wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. Very good. They're totally unmoving. Even the shameless guy. So anyway, my point here is not about men or women. My point here is that we have such a person, okay, who sees everything is empty and it's totally unmoving, no matter what. Earthquake, big deal. 50 people died in a train crash in Taiwan, big deal. Trains are empty. People are empty. Taiwan's empty. What's the big deal? Okay? Because that's exactly what happened to these people. As soon as you tell them, you need to have a vaccine. You get vaccinated. And someone says, you believe in vaccines? I say, yeah. They storm out of the Buddha hall. It's all empty. What do we care? The point here is that even though it's wonderful to be able to not think of 100 things, it's absolutely useless to society, to everyone else, but yourself. You're perfectly safe, you're perfectly happy, you're perfectly content with yourself, with your lives, but you have no use to your mother, you have no use to your nephew, you have no use to anyone else at all. And to us, in Mahayana, okay, we call it small wisdom. It's not the big wisdom yet. It's just a small wisdom. What is the big wisdom? It's much further than beyond that. Okay. So what this section here says is that when the Patriarch says, when you reach the level of the Arhats or practical Buddhas, okay, don't stop there. Don't reject life. Don't reject everything. Don't reject 100 things because they're empty, because you're empty. Okay? Don't do that. Because if you do, that will obstruct the nature of the way. What does it mean, the nature of the way? It will obstruct your cultivation. The way here refers to your spiritual practice. Okay? The way. In Buddhism, the way in capital here, capital W here, refers to your spiritual practice. Remember, context is cultivate, meaning walk the way, practice the way. And the nature of this practice here, okay, will your practice, your spiritual practice, whether it's meditation, whether it's Pure Land, whether it's tantras and so forth, will be obstructed if you reject everything because they're empty. So far, so good. So this instruction in particular refers to, applies, is for the fourth stage Arhats and practical Buddhas, because many of them invariably will commit this mistake. And in Mahayana, we are very concerned about that. We're very, very concerned. Because if they're not careful, they'll be stuck big time, and no one can help them. No one. If they choose to reject life, they choose to reject everything because it's all empty, no one can help them anymore. Even help to them is empty. Okay, so that's what the Patriarchs and the Bodhisattvas and the Buddhas are very, very concerned about that. They caution us. If you find all the great sages' teachings, in all the teachings, there's a section where it says, caution, don't fall into this trap. I know you follow my instructions, follow my teachings, you get to this stage here, and I need to prepare you in advance. When you get there, don't fall into this trap. Okay? Questions? That's what happens in Hinayana. They don't have the teachers to remind them to keep on practicing. So many will fall into this trap. That's why we are very concerned on the Mahayana side. Okay, Mahayana is not as bad because we paved the way for you already. I'm not aware anyone in Mahayana who would be stuck here, because part of Mahayana teachings is to training is to prevent you from falling into this trap at all. So it's automatic for us, whereas Hinayana is a real concern for us. Okay? To the point where the Buddha says he'd rather have you being confused like all of us instead of reaching this level and then be stuck at that level of emptiness. Okay? Which is totally useless. You suspend it and you're absolutely useless. Can't do anything. You won't amount to anything. You basically are nothing. Okay? You're empty. Okay? Next, 68. Text. Listening without cultivating will cause others to form deviant thinking. Simply cultivate according to the Dharma and do not dwell in marks when bestowing it.
若听说不修，令人反生邪念；但依法修行，无住相法师。
Okay, and it's amazing in the commentary. I really love his teachings. He's basically giving us he forewarned us about the problems you're going to have in our eras. Okay, exactly what he's talking about. This is what we have, the problem we have right now. He says to listen without cultivating will cause others to form deviant thinking. Okay, meaning that you learn the Dharma and you don't cultivate. Cultivate meaning apply it to your lives. Okay, you know the Dharma says don't steal, and you go and steal. That means you're not cultivating according to the Dharma. But if you learn the Dharma and you know you taught that you're not supposed to lie, okay, and your wife asks you, okay, where were you? And you found yourself compelled to lie, then you're hurting your own cultivation. Okay, and not only are you hurting your own cultivation, you cause others to think badly of you and of Mahayana. Okay, so that's why the Patriarch says, particularly applicable to us in a Dharma ending age, in modern era, where when you listen to Dharma, it should be for the purpose of trying to apply it, to reflect upon yourself and see how it applies to you, where you are in terms of, for this standard. If you taught not to fight, how often do you fight? What are you doing about that? You taught not to steal. Why do you continue to keep on spying? Okay? Spying is stealing. Okay? And when you say I practice Mahayana and you go home, see, I've been practicing Chan meditation, I've been going to the temple, and it's wonderful. They taught us how to be kinder and more generous and not fight. And then you go home and pick a fight with your wife. And when that happens, your wife will say, he's wasting his time. I'm not going to his temple, that's for sure. So that's called deviant thinking. See, that's what happens. When you listen to all the good words, you don't try to apply them to your lives. You cause others around you to have deviant thinking about you. Next, 70. Simply cultivate according to the Dharma and do not dwell in marks when bestowing it. Again, the great teacher says, simply cultivate according to the Dharma. It's that simple. You learn it, then apply it. And keep on using that as a reference in everything you do during the day. Okay? If we are not supposed to think of 100 things, why do you keep thinking about food? No, wait, a bad example. Okay, so you cultivate, okay, he emphasizes, you simply cultivate according to the Dharma, for emphasis. You heard this phrase before. Cultivate, listen to the Dharma, and cultivate accordingly. He repeats it now for emphasis. Simply cultivate according to the Dharma. Repetition, right? It's important enough. These people, these teachers, will repeat it for us. They all do. If it's important enough, they will repeat it for us. That's the Buddhist style of teaching. And it's important enough, I repeat it at least 10 times for my disciples because they don't get it. Well, anyway, for these enlightened sages, cultivate according to Dharma for emphasis and do not dwell in marks when bestowing it. And then he says, you cultivate, and you're supposed to be a teacher. So when you teach, when you give this Dharma to others, don't dwell on marks. Okay? Marks. Marks, again, technical jargon for the Buddhists. Marks are things you observe, observable. Marks refers to the forms, the shapes, things you see. Marks refers to the smells. Marks refers to the sound you hear. Okay? Marks refer to the food you taste. Here we go back to food again. Okay? And marks refer to what else? What's number 5? Mark refers to things you touch. We love things that are smooth and that glides. Okay, that's a human attachment. We are attached to the touch feeling that is smooth and slippery. We love that feeling. Yes or no? I don't know. Okay, that's what the Buddha taught. Too personal for you? You were thinking Louis Vuittons and okay, so the marks are the things that are observable. Okay, you can observe through your sense organs. Those refers to the marks. Okay, it's a very important concept in Mahayana. We are attached to marks. In what way? We love fragrance, don't we? We love goat cheese. We don't love goat cheese, do we? Okay, no. Okay, I got that. Okay, we like nice-looking forms. Yes? Daniel? Yes? Yes, absolutely. Okay? We like beautiful things. What's wrong with that? YouTube, go ahead.
Jane asks, is it dwell on or in marks?
I need to have the English majors here. I need your help. Anyone can help us out? I usually use on, but Jane is very meticulous. She caught me with in here. Yes, purple.
Thank you, Master. As an English major, the best 6 years of my life in college, I would...
And we don't want to hear which college, okay? Please.
I would say if you find yourself inside a mark, you better pull yourself out of it.
What about on?
Then get off.
How about around marks?
Don't consider the 100 things. I don't think the preposition is, the specificity of the preposition to me is not so important. If it's in, on, up, marks, you know, I think that's too detailed.
It's not that important. I agree with that. It turns out on and in really doesn't matter. Dwell on marks, usually on refers to outside, like you sit on something. Sit on a chair. Sit on a nice chair. Okay? So you dwell on the external marks. But you dwell inside on marks. You dwell in marks. So to me, it's inside. So it works for me both ways. When you say dwell on marks, I'm referring to you. But the master here, this is where they did an excellent job. Right here in translation, dwelling in marks here refers to his enlightened disciples. Okay? These people don't look outside anymore. That's the difference. The difference between us and the seventh patriarch and his enlightened disciple is that they only look at themselves. They don't look at the external marks anymore. They look at their own internal marks. Is it clear? Does it help? We keep on looking outside. We say, oh, I'd love to have a red car. I'd love to have a bigger church. We look outside. We compare outside. Okay? But these enlightened people, they said, I am attached to a red car. Oh, I'm dwelling in the mark of the red car in my heart. Does it help? So I like this translation. It's very subtle. I like it. Once in a blue moon. Okay? I'm kidding, of course. They did a good job. Excellent job. So dwelling in mark is very good. Okay? And so we can add, do not dwell on marks, not only dwelling in for enlightened people, but on marks for the rest of us. Is it clear? Okay. Now, furthermore, just more technical thing for you, because if you understand marks more, you break down the marks, it makes it easier for you to cope with the marks, your attachment to marks. In Buddhism, the Buddha broke down the marks. Okay? 4 types of marks that make it very difficult for us to undo. We attach to these 4 types of marks heavily. What are those 4 marks? These are explained in the Prajna teaching. 22 years he spent teaching the Prajna wisdom. We explain, we elaborate on these things. But they summarize the 4 marks, 4 kind of marks that we struggle, we humans struggle on discerning. Living beings struggle in discerning. We discerning the mark of a self. It's me against you. It's either I get a promotion or you get a promotion. Better me than you. Yes? Okay? If I divorce you, okay, then it's me against your future wife. Okay? I ain't gonna help her. You see that? So we have this me, the self, against everyone else. That's an attachment. Me first. Numero uno. I'm number 1. Okay? Anyone has that problem? Attachment to the self? Don't need to raise your hand. I know you all are attached to the self. Okay? There's an attachment to others. What are attachment to others? Furthermore, not only are you attached to yourself, you also attach to outside yourself, which is others. For example, you attached politicians. They're attached to their parties. Republicans, Democrats, liberals, and so forth. Okay? So you attach to others. I am a liberal. I am a conservative. Okay? So I only help conservatives. I don't help liberals. I am not Asian. Therefore, it's okay for me not to help Asians. I'm not Brazilian. So if they have the COVID-19, they're dying, 400,000 of them get infected a day. It's not my problem. I'm American. America first. Okay? So we have this attachment to others. Okay? Very specific. Group of others we attach to. Give an example what you attach to and don't lie. If I ask you, what group of others are you attached to? Okay, they know, so that's not scare them. Hello! What are you attached to others? Dragons? I give an example what kind of group others you attach to is your family. Yes or no? My family. No? No wonder they all ran away from home. Huh? Aren't you attached to your family? Family first. Yes? Or Chiu-Chow people first. Yes? So that's a typical example. There are plenty of examples. You look into yourself, how you attach to others. Whether it's family relationships, whether it's intellectual group like I am intellectuals, I am communist. What happened to communists? I am, I don't know, Russian? North Korean? Okay? Yeah. So you have this attachment to others that's so strong. Okay? And furthermore, you're attached to living beings. Society for the protection of animals. Okay? We will protect animals. So we put people to jail for harming animals. Okay? So we're very attached to living beings ourselves. Okay? What is it? Lady Gaga was very attached to her two dogs. Did you hear the news? So attached that she gave a reward of $500,000 for to return her two dogs. When people are starving in Africa. I'm attached to Africans, clearly. She's attached to dogs. Got that? So, living beings, because we somehow chose to, attach to living beings. We're attached to ants, you're attached to dolphins, you're attached to whales at the expense of other living beings. Okay? Yes, sir. Red. Pink.
I have a question. So let's say that because is there a degree to attachment? What I'm saying about, for example, let's say that you care for your family members that they don't get sick from COVID or whatever the case is, and you want to help other people in Africa, let's say, or like if I want to help people, my clients, let's pretend that. So I want to help them, I'm helping them, but I don't feel like I'm attached to them. I just feel like I'm trying to help them, whatever I can do. So is there some kind of degree of attachment, or is just attachment and that's pretty much it?
Yours is a special case, my friend. Okay? I don't have an answer for that. It's neither Buddhist or Catholic, so it's weird. If you're Buddhist, by the way, I have an answer for you right away. Hint, hint. Here, when we talk about attachments, it's referring to, never mind about this and that. These concepts here are, when you have an attachment, it creates blind spots for you. You don't see clearly anymore, and you are endangering yourself and others. We were driving to San Jose in my van. 10-year-old van. And I have a Korean driver from North Korea, something like that. Okay. I get confused about North and South. I never could get it straight. Please don't get offended. So I was dozing off because when she drives, I can't stay awake because she's for 2 hours. She's like a statue. And so you can't have her fall asleep. And all of a sudden I woke up. A big truck was cut into her. So she panicked. First time ever happened. Okay? Probably there's no trucks in North Korea. Something. So cut into her. So for me, if that happens, I would go horn, horn, horn. Roll down window. Damn you, that kind of thing. No, she just. And somehow we survived. And you can tell I'm back here. Okay. The point I'm trying to make is that the truck driver, I think I'm told that she was driving. I was asleep, so I didn't know what happened. But someone told me that she was driving parallel to the truck for quite a while in his blind spot. So when the guy has been driving along, okay, happily he decided, well, I should be in the slow lane. He decided, you see, no car for a while. So he changed lane. So his blind spot could have hurt both him and us. That's what happens, Daniel, when you have attachments. You have blind spots, they are not good for you or the people or other people. That's the concept behind attachment. And you can thank the North Koreans for that example. I had nothing to do with it. Only provided the van, that's it. Isn't it beautiful? It's such a beautiful manifestation of attachments, creating blind spots. See, we're safe, aren't we? We're both feeling safe. Huh? And then the guy says, it's safer for me to go over here. So that's why if you want to develop wisdom, you need to recognize your attachments and let go of the attachments. That's why we teach you about attachments. is for you to recognize your blind spots so that you stop hurting yourself. Does it help? Or you still want me to answer your non-Buddhist question? Okay, thank you. Okay, so you have, oh no, I have some attachments here clearly against spies. So there are 4 marks the Buddha taught us that create automatic attachments for us. Okay, the 4 marks about yourself. We all attach to ourselves. We attach to others. For example, our family. Okay, our friends, our church, parishioners, and so forth. Okay, we attach to living beings. Okay, we seem that we want to save living beings. Okay, and we attach to a lifespan. What is lifespan? Life. We don't want to die, do we? We're so afraid to die. We want to live longer. We want to have a good life. We want to be a happy life. Yes? We want the kids to run away from home. The sooner the better. Not you, young man. You're fine. You're fine. Just the boy back there, alone. Okay? So these are the 4 attachments that are so automatic for us. You think about it. Go back, and when you have these blind spots, you will see that it's one of these 4 types of attachments that we all have. That's very profound, very, very deep in our psyche. So far, so good? Okay. And I went into more, the comments in the bullets are more into the fractional teaching, but I don't want to go into that. I think you can go into that yourself. It's too easy. Okay. But what I want to mention here is the bestowing. Okay. Bestowing. Don't dwell in marks when bestowing. Bestowing the Dharma. Meaning what? He's referring to when you preach the Dharma, when you teach, these patriarchs, these enlightened beings, these superior teachers should not dwell in marks when teaching the Dharma. Okay? Refers to the fact, you observe, for example, how the monks and nuns nowadays preach. Okay? They have a certain way of teaching that they train their descendants, their successors. You teach, you're supposed to be straight, erect, sit like a bell, and talk in a very calm and peaceful way. Very adorned. You shouldn't have any emotions. You're supposed to be in samadhi. Okay? And you stick to the Dharma. Don't go into worldly things. Okay? So there's this formula that's developed over time that's being observed. Okay, so it's very so they have, that's called dwelling in marks. These people are dwelling, their mind, their heart is dwelling on marks, the marks of bestowing, the mark of teaching the Dharma. And the great patriarch says, don't do that. Let's discuss it if you wish. If not, we can stop. Anyone wants to take a stab at it? The pros and cons. What if we stick to this form of preaching where I was there for 4 years, okay, in my master's temple. You sit here and you talk, yes, you are right, with kindness, with compassion, with calm. Absolutely no excitement, okay, because we're supposed to bring peace to you. How can you give you peace if we are not peaceful ourselves? Questions, comments? Yes, purple.
I think one of the pros about preaching that way is that a lot of people are more compelled to become Catholics.
Translation. He's too excited now. Repeat that.
Way is that a lot of people will be more compelled to become Catholics.
I don't know how to answer that. Anyway, we ignore that. We're serious business here. Anyone else? Huh? Pros and cons. Purple.
Master, I do have to...
What happened to thank you, Master? He quickly got rid of that mark. Thank you, Master Mark. Yeah, very good. See, it catches on pretty fast. Impressive. I'm
Thank you.
shameless too, by the way.
Thank you, Master.
You're
I
welcome.
have to admit, during this Dharma talk, since you brought it up, I have been working very hard not to think about the $7.99 3-topping Domino's pizza special. And while I haven't let go of it entirely, I feel like crossing my legs has helped me get there, but that's one mark that's come up today that I've thought about.
Very good. The good things about having this way of speaking Dharma is that it sets a norm, a standard that's based on facts. Because you listen to 4th-stage Arhat speak Dharma, it's like that. He sits erect, he speaks calmly because he sees you as empty, he sees himself as empty, he sees the Dharma as empty, so what's there to be excited about? Okay? He's not depressed, by the way, he's just not excited. Okay? So it's understandable. Okay? So that's the advantages. It shows you the state of peace and bliss that you experience even when you speak Dharma. He's in bliss. He in samadhi. So far, so good. So that's a standard that if you are a monk or nun and who are not enlightened yet, who are below 4th-stage Arhat or Pratyeka Buddha, you should aspire for that. Okay? Because it's very hard to do. Very hard to sit here for an hour, 10 minutes and not move when everyone else is looking at you. And you know, let me tell you how it feels like, because I was there. I was a novice sitting up there in City 10,000 Buddhas speaking to a bunch of 4th-stage Arhat looking at you. Look at this idiot, look at that. Oh, he's such an idiot. He looks funny, he talks funny. And they all these women look down and say, what an idiot. He's Vietnamese too, you know. And he's educated. And they look down upon you and you sweating like hell inside, okay? You dwelling on your sweats. Okay? So it's very difficult to stay calm because the audience, okay, if they're better, they're higher level than you, it's very frightening. Okay, I remember a monk, a Vietnamese monk who was invited to the city of 10,000 Buddhas to speak Dharma to them. And he's a well-known monk, and he got up there and spoke Dharma to them, and I was translating. He couldn't speak. And I couldn't translate because he wasn't saying anything. So at the end, he was so upset. He said, normally, in my temple, in Santa Ana, I can speak the Dharma eloquently, thao thao bhakti, okay, cao cao bu jue, cao cao bu jue, okay, thao thao bhakti. But here, the translation is so bad, I can't even speak Dharma anymore. Change translator. So he kicked me out. Do you like to know his name? Anyway, so it's very frightening. If people sit down there who is higher level than you, it's very scary. You cannot concentrate. So it's like you have these bright, these eyes looking at you and judging you. So look at that. Oh. And it's a very scary thing. So it's very difficult for you to stay calm. Very, very difficult. Okay? Yes, White?
Since the fourth stage arhat is so calm and everything is empty, what happens when the fourth stage arhat sitting up there speaking Dharma to the audience that are higher than fourth stage arhat? Is the fourth stage arhat going to be very scattered and very afraid and sweating inside also?
No. It depends on how mean the audience is.
Thank you.
If the audience like my disciples, who are higher than fourth stage arhat, they would not have any problems. Because I train them not to ask questions, not to judge people, especially those who are lower than you. But if they wish to, because you're bad behavior, because you are a nasty person, because you're an arrogant person, you can sweat like hell as well. Because it's your retribution for daring to be arrogant in my temples. Understand? Even if you're an arhat, even if you're an arhat or bodhisattva, and if you create offenses, your retribution will come. Don't be so sure of yourself. That's why we allow spies to come in here. We're not worried about spies. We make them sweat at will. Okay? Got that? So, going back to the standard of the marks when speaking Dharma. Yes, the first level is learn to be the proper way that the Asians do. Okay? That's a proper. The Japanese, the Koreans, the Vietnamese, the Chinese, so forth, they all are supposed to behave like that. Okay? However, when you look at Master YongHua, he's like that too. But at times, he would become much more animated himself. He would laugh loudly and he would cry. Okay? You're not supposed to cry. Come on. Everything is empty. Why are you crying? He cried. Okay? So, my point here is that that's what is called not dwelling in marks when teaching the Dharma. So, first level is you dwell in marks so that you have some wisdom. Okay? You show respect and pay your dues. When you reach a certain level, you have to evolve as well. To the level of Master YongHua, then it's truly not dwelling in marks. Until then, okay, these people are all dwelling in marks. Okay, so what is my mark? A mark of a clown. Animation. Okay? All right. Time is up. Final questions? Today, for some reason, the internet is like dead. Jane has nothing to say. Yes, ma'am.
I'm so attached to about Master YongHua. One of his disciples said that one day Master YongHua talked to them and say, "You guys Americans are so hard to teach that I have to hit my head on the tree so many times." Is that true?
Hit my head on the tree?
Yes.
What does it mean, hit the head on the tree?
That's what I'm trying to find. Did he really literally go hitting his head on the tree because the student was so hard to teach? He said the American students. It was told by one of his disciples recently.
The enlightened disciple or unenlightened disciple?
I think it was I think it was Venerable Heng Lai.
Heng Lai?
I think so, if I'm
So
not
he's probably referring to him then. Master YongHua is referring to Heng Lai. It's so hard to teach. That's why he has to, beat his head, not hit his head on the tree. Beat his head on the tree.
Master hitting himself on the tree, though.
Huh?
Master YongHua hitting himself on the tree.
I know, beat his head against the tree, not hit his head against the tree. That's why I couldn't understand your English.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Even Daniel likes my English better than yours. I think he just he didn't mean it. He just said that as a joke, as an American expression. The Chinese don't beat their heads on the trees; they split the trees. You guys are too Americanized. You don't get it. He beat his head against the tree. The tree's gonna fall over. He's not gonna hurt his head. Okay? So that's why we're so blessed that we're able to observe one of the greatest teachers. And you should watch Master YongHua videos and see how he teaches the Dharma. Most of the time, he will be very calm. He would smile and go back to the state of calm. Okay? Rarely is he animated. However, at times he's extremely upset, extremely angry, extremely emotional. That's called not dwelling in marks. All right? Very good. Thank you all. We stop here. Next time we continue from 71.